Today I'd like to address a topic that affects almost everyone in the world today, and that is the topic of bullying. Now, in all probability, you have had in moments in your life where you felt you've been bullied. Maybe it's as a child by somebody in the schoolyard, or maybe it's a parent, or possibly a teacher, or maybe somebody at work, or maybe it's just your brother and sister giving you a hard time and trying to push you around. Or maybe in your own life, you look carefully, you'll see that you've also bullied. When we've actually surveyed people, we found out that everybody's had both. They've had bullying to them and they've done some bullying. We have different ways of bullying. We could be pushing people around with our ideas. We can push people around with our fists and our hands and our push in our body. Or we can actually try to grab the food before they do, or maybe outspeak them or outwit them. There's many ways of bullying. Or maybe we'll put pressure and leverage them at our workplace and take command and kind of steal ideas from them and push them into a pressured state. Well, whatever the form of bullying, there is some solutions that we could come up with that could help everybody with that. And that's what I'd like to address, some common ways of dealing with bullying. One is to stop and look carefully at when they do that and ask yourself the question, where and when have I done this and to who have I done this to? Now, first you're going to think, well, I don't do it that way, so my way is better than their way. But if you look carefully, maybe you can scan through your life as a child and maybe you bullied your sister, or maybe you bullied your parents around, or maybe you were reactive at work and bullied people, or possibly on the road rage. Maybe when you were at school you bullied a girlfriend that was trying to go after your boyfriend, or a boyfriend after your girlfriend. But look carefully, you'll find out that you've done this in some form, some fashion in your own life. When you do, it does to humble you a little bit, and it calms you down and makes you less reactive and more reflective and active. And I believe it's wiser to be reflective and active than reactive when it comes to these things. It's also wise to then stop and ask, so how does it serve me? Because in my experience, no matter what's happened in our life, it's on the way, not in the way, and it serves us. It's instructive, not obstructive. And as William James said, the greatest discovery of our generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their perceptions and attitudes of mind. So it's wiser to go in and ask, how does it serve me? How can I use this to my advantage? Could that toughen me up? Could it teach me how to reflect? Could it teach me how to communicate more effectively? Could it make me stop and reflect and maybe realize that I'm doing things that's challenging their values? That's why they're reacting that way. Or maybe I'm just simply disempowered. Did you know that people that are disempowered have a higher probability of attracting people pushing them around? Primarily because any area of our life that we're not empowered in, we attract people to overpower us. And sometimes the bully is nothing more than the perfect manifestation of what disempowerment is in our life. Sometimes if we look carefully, if for instance a mother is disempowered in business and finance and totally dedicated to her children, the husband may bully her around with money and business decisions. But at the same time, she may be empowered in the children and her social decisions and what is going to be food on the table. And she may bully the man and say, this is what's going to happen, what's going to eat, and this is how the kids are going to be raised. So wherever our power is where we typically bully, and wherever we're disempowered is where we usually get bullied. So if we stop and reflect on that, we might learn from that and actually gain insight of why things are happening. And then instead of being reactive, we're proactive. And we can look at maybe where we might want to develop and empower our life. Because if we empower all areas of our life, I find that there's less bullying manifesting in our life. And you may find out that if you're disempowered in more than one area, and I'm going to reiterate what those areas are in life: spiritual, mental, career, financial, family, social, and physical areas. Any area of our life that we don't empower, somebody's going to overpower us. And the more areas we don't empower, the more we're going to get overpowered. And we may end up labeling that person that's over-empowering us with a group of people as bullies. So also, we have to look out for opposites. If we ask the question, at the moment this person's bullying us, who's doing the opposite? Who's overprotecting us? Who's supporting us? Who's making our life too easy? Who's giving us too much freedom? If we define clearly what the bully is actually doing and look for its opposite and identify where that's showing up in our life, one or many people, male or female, somebody close or distant is playing that role. And we don't attract that unless we're, in some degree, addicted and dependent on that other side. I always say if we're dependent and addicted and seeking that which is support, we'll attract challenge. If we're looking for protection, we'll attract aggression. Whatever we're looking for that makes us dopamine fixed and oxytocin addicted, what we do is we become juvenilely dependent on that, and that makes us disempowered and attracts the other side in the universe to make sure that we grow up. So sometimes the bully may be the very person we need to help us decide what we want to do in life, what our priorities are, and how we want to go and do it. So the three things you want to do is ask, where have I done this? What's the benefit of this? How can it serve me? How can I use it to my advantage? And who's doing the opposite at that moment? Once we answer those questions, and don't tell ourselves we can't answer them, we don't know the answers, but look for the answers, we'll discover that the bully is partly on the way, not in the way, and maybe serving us in ways we never saw before. And in imagining, when we see the bully, we might actually thank them. And of course, if we help them get what they want to get in life, they're less likely to be bullying us. We might want to find out what we're doing to communicate in their values, because all of a sudden they may become our friends. Very common that people who are once our enemies become our friends. I've certainly had that in my life. And maybe the bully can be useful in your life, and not only making you grow, but making you aware and actually helping you get what you want in life instead of being in the way. So those are some highlights and some tips you might consider when you're being bullied or when you are bullying, and know that it's part of life. I don't know of anybody that's ever been in my seminars when I asked how many of you have been bullied or bullied, and I just found everybody puts their hand up. So in case that's happening to you, don't think that that's only unique to you. And my advice, if you go into empower all areas, maybe if you increased your social network, maybe if you increased your intelligent responses to people, maybe you look deeply at reflection to what you're doing and saying to the person to initiate these things. Maybe you could go out and toughen yourself up, maybe even take a martial arts class. They're less likely to be bullying if you do that. And maybe awaken your empowerment in all areas so you're so busy that you don't have time for the bullies. These are things you can also do. So until our next adventure and our chat together, just know that if you've had a bully on your back, those are some of the things you can do to make them transformed into an opportunity.